Welcome to FacingMelsMusic.com podcast, featuring some of the most heartwarming stories from musicians all around the world on FacingMelsMusic.com.
And a very warm welcome to Facing Mel's Music. This is Mel Golding, your host, and I have a great guest star all the way from
South Carolina,
Cervon Campbell. Welcome, a warm welcome. Lovely to talk with you. Thanks for joining. You made a great big effort to come here earlier because of the time difference. It's great fun, isn't it? All this time difference.
Yes, ma'am. I'm glad to be on. I really want to work with your schedule and make you comfortable.
You're very polite. It's wonderful. Okay, let's get stuck right in. Let's talk about what you do. So you're an artist, you're a stand-up comic, you're a musician, you're a songwriter, and I've read somewhere that you're a bit of a screenwriter and an actor as well. So you're quite busy, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am. That's a long resume.
Where'd you find the time?
I don't know. I'm just always trying to find something to do. I get bored really easily. So I'm like always trying to put my foot in something else.
That's fair enough. That's a good answer. So actually, out of all of that, which came first to you? I mean, I'm assuming you weren't born all of these things all at the same time. So which came first? Which came naturally to you? What was the first thing?
Stand-up comedy. That's my true love. That's what I want to do more than all of it. Well, maybe more than all of it, but that's where I started from.
Right. Okay. Because ironically, I mean, funnily enough, I haven't seen much about your stand-up comic. I haven't seen any links to that. You've given me links to music, and your music's beautiful, by the way. We'll come to that.
Thank you.
How busy are you doing these stand-up comic then? How busy are you?
You know, I've been hearing that a lot lately, so I got to put more stuff out there. But I do stand-up way more than I do music. I'm really bad. I'm so self-conscious with everything, so I hate being recorded, which isn't good in that field. So I have to put more stuff out. But it always looks like I am a musician that tries to do stand-up, but I'm a comic that tries to do music. But I do stand-up. I'm just now starting to back on touring and performing. The pandemic happened and I had other stuff happen. So I've been off for 3 years and I'm just now coming back. So I've already hit the ground running with stand-up and with music.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it really did obviously interrupt everything, and every musician, every artist I speak with obviously says the same thing, of course. So what I find really amazing about what you've just said there is that you're putting, it's quite risky for you then, isn't it, to do stand-up comics? So are you sort of facing fears when you do it?
I learned young because I started doing stand-up when I was like 16. And I'm very introverted. People really freak me out. I'm always on my nerves are always on 10.
Yeah.
But I can create a character and go out there and let that character, be a confident person and just throw myself out there. So as soon as I get off stage, it's like it all hits me at one time. But yeah, I can go on stage and just kind of throw everything away and just pretend to be somebody else.
That's incredible. It's like this alter ego, and I've been speaking with people who have this, and it's almost like a split, like you're splitting yourself into two people. So you have this other person who's coming out and doing it for you almost. Would you say it's something like this?
It really is, because I've just gotten to a spot where people are like, they know my Instagram name. They know, like, me from music and stuff. So somebody's like, hey, you're Cervon, or you're whatever my Instagram name is.
Yes.
I never say yes. I can't. I feel so awkward saying, oh yeah, that's me. I just like, nah, we look alike. I get that a lot. I just kind of throw it away.
Really? That's shocking. You should be proud of this. You should be proud and embrace that, So
I can be proud with my name, but when it's my Instagram name, I'm immediately like, nah, that's not me.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's this introverted person you're talking about is going, hold on. So let's talk about the name, because I found that I have to say, I found it difficult to make the link between the name. So is that the name that we're going to talk about? Is that the name you go under, or the show for your stand-up comic? Is that what it is?
No, man, I'm Cervon Campbell all the way around. My
Yeah.
music, my name, everything is Cervon Campbell. My
Okay.
Instagram name, I just got stuck with it, and I'm not a fan of it. I was young when I made it, and I thought they would let me change it, but they won't.
Really? Okay. So it's Sex Monkey Limo Driver.
Yes, ma'am.
Who came up with that idea?
It was my name. I really embraced it at first when I was younger.
Okay.
I was like 13 years old when I made it. It was my game name
Right.
when I was playing
Okay.
video games, and now I'm stuck with it.
Okay. I mean, it sounds a little rebellious, actually. I mean, would you say that came from a place of rebelliousness?
It was just me being kind of lazy when I picked the name. You needed four names to make one, and you can scroll through an index of letters. Oh, I mean of words. And I
Okay.
was 13, so sex was kind of a cool word, and I just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. You got stuck with it. And here you are. This is your karma. You're stuck with it now. God bless you on that one.
yeah.
Oh dear. So let's talk about your music, because I've been listening to some of your music. I've got some. Well, when did you start then, actually, as a musician? Because if that came first and you're quite young, how old were you
Um,
when you started in music?
I was writing poetry at the same time I was writing jokes and stuff, and
Yeah.
I was writing when I was doing stand up. I was writing jokes for other people, and then I started like kind of going through like depression and all that kind of stuff, and I wanted
Right.
to find a way to kind of express it, because with comedy I can make a joke about it, but nobody was
Yeah.
taking me serious once I started like actually talking about it. So with
Mm.
music I was able to kind of slow things down a little bit, and I would write poetry. Then I slowly started writing for other people, and
Ah.
then I started writing for myself, and just kind of with that too hit the ground running.
That's amazing. So you kind of walked, it sounds like you walked into it basically. So what, you were still quite young. I mean, you're young now. So how old were you more or less when you started to get into that?
About the same age, about 16, 17.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And would you say you kind of, well, you turned professional at that age if you were doing it also for other people? Were you more or less professional at that age?
Yes, ma'am. At that age
Wow.
I was already like kind of touring a little bit.
Fantastic. Amazing. Okay. So your songs, there's a mix there. You're still you all through them all. You've been described as being not velvety, very soulful sound. I found it very soft. I mean, there's a beautiful song there that I really, really, it's my favorite actually, because I think it's just appealing to me. And is it called Sarah Lynn?
Yes,
Sarah
ma'am.
Lynn. Oh, what a stunning
Thank
song.
you.
Absolutely beautiful. And it's I would say it's got this contemporary classical element to it. I mean, I'm a particular fan of that genre. You do have mixed genres going throughout your music, don't you?
Yes, ma'am. I like everything, and I try to
Yeah.
incorporate everything.
Tell me about Sarah Lynn. Where did that come from? What's this about?
There's a show, BoJack Horseman, and it really helped me through a lot of my emotions.
Yeah.
Watching the characters grow in each season, I really resonated with it. And I seen a lot of my friends in it,
Yeah.
and me and I have an ex-girlfriend named Kelsey who had the song is kind of about her and kind of about me, and she passed 4 days before the song came out.
I'm
It's
sorry.
this feeling of you're not doing good enough, and you're really just kind of low in momentum, low in your mindset. You're not really feeling like doing anything.
Mm.
But I noticed with her, she always complained, well, not complained, she always talked to me about she felt like she was really alone, and she felt like she wasn't loved. But I
Yeah.
could see so many people loving her. She just didn't notice it. And
Yeah.
same with my career, where a lot of times I feel like, all right, I'm about to hang it up. I'm not feeling like I'm doing good enough in my music. But then I'll see like I have a bunch of people who will come out to a show. I have a bunch of people who listen to me and who tag me and stuff. And you just get to a point where you kind of ignore it a little bit. So that's where Sarah Lynn came from. It's a character on the show who was really feeling alone, but she had so many people watching her and looking up to her.
Yeah.
And she was told at a very young age, don't stop dancing because they're watching you, they're paying you attention.
Yeah.
So all three of us kind of just resonated in the character. So that's where Sarah Lynn came from.
Absolutely incredible. And isn't it funny? out of all the songs, and you've done quite a few songs, you've got that is the one particular song that I was drawn to. I felt something there, and now you've explained it, and there's a lot of sadness, obviously, in that. You've also got other songs. You've got I listened to Kickback. It's got some. Is there an acoustic guitar in that? What's the instrument? It
Yes,
sounds
man.
like an acoustic guitar in that, isn't it?
Acoustic guitar, a bass guitar,
Yeah,
a piano, a keyboard. So it's a mix of a
yeah.
lot of stuff in
It's
it.
a mix. It's got a slightly different feel. So what's Kickback about? I mean, I like the title, and tell me about where that comes from too.
Kickback is about me enjoying, forcing myself to enjoy an experience that I'm
Okay.
currently having with a girl present
Okay.
because of a ex, if that makes sense. It's me saying I'm gonna get out of my head. I'm not gonna overthink. I'm gonna allow myself to enjoy this moment, enjoy this person, because there's no telling where this could lead. It might not be anything, or this could be my wife because
Mm,
of a previous relationship where I was so locked into what is our future gonna be? What's this? I need to make every right decision. So
mm,
kickback is me trying to kick back and relax and enjoy this
right.
because it isn't promised. Because that relationship that I thought was promised wasn't.
Mm, mm. Yeah, sounds like there's an element of pressure there. So, I mean, your music, I guess, do you use it for? It feels very real. Does it help to express these feelings through your songs?
It does. When I first started out, I was one of those like sad rappers that was like, oh, I use drugs to cope, or I'm sad all the time, and I
Mm,
hated my music. I would make it to vent, but then I would do shows, and I would find myself like dreading
mm,
performing certain songs because it'll bring up
yeah,
certain memories. And then I would see, even now, like I see audience members, like people be crying listening to certain songs,
mm,
and it's like I don't want to be that guy. So
right,
now I can see it from a different perspective, and I can kind of incorporate a lot of different emotions where I can make it more of a positive experience. So now I can write with exactly how I'm feeling and
mm.
not dread it the entire time.
It's interesting, isn't it? How we use music, whether you're listening, whether you're writing, whether you're performing. It's such an emotive tool. It's yeah, very powerful. Tell me about where you're from and your background, and where do you actually come from, and in your family situation. And I take it you're all from South Carolina, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you been
Uh,
there your whole life?
for the most part, I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, but I've pretty
Okay,
much lived my whole life in Greenville, South Carolina. Um, I'm from a really small town within Greenville called Fountain Inn,
okay,
and there is no like venues or anything around here. So growing
right,
up, me saying I wanted to do stand up, me wanted to do music, I would sneak off
yeah,
to drive 2 hours away or so to perform.
right.
Um, yeah, it's not like a major place or anything like that. Family
Right.
wise, there's my mom, my sister, my brother.
Yeah.
That side, my dad, he has 9 kids to himself. He's a musician too, and he's a
Right. Mm.
touring, you know, bass player. He does his thing. So we're all kind of locked in. I isolate myself, so I haven't seen or talked to anybody in a long time. I work 24/7. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one. I hear you. I hear you. And I guess it's just 'cause, it's just the way we do it, isn't it? It's the way you do it, is the way you do your art, is just to really immerse yourself. So
Mm.
tell me something about your influences, your musical influences. I mean, who do you look up to? Who are your favorite artists, and where do you draw your inspiration?
Different songs have different ones, but inspiration as far as me, what it made me like I want to make music was this
Mm,
guy Donald Glover, Childish Gambino. That was my idol. I used to like I don't know. I loved that guy so much.
right.
I worshipped him. I hate to use the word, but that's really what it was.
Yeah.
He is a Renaissance man. He creates shows, movies. He's a great writer, great actor. He's a
Mm,
comic. He makes music. He does it all. And I was introduced to music. My mom was she was a preacher, so my
right.
first non-gospel song was Kanye West. So those two artists
Amazing.
I'm always drawn to. I have a deep love for. And recently my big music inspiration is Labyrinth. He's a UK artist. Um,
Okay.
he's a big part of what inspired Sarah Lynn. I see him, he's always in the studio, he's toying with instruments and making
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, I can do that too. I can pick up a
Yeah.
bunch of instruments and make a
Yeah.
song too. So, and I get inspired by a ton of artists all the
Mm.
time.
Yeah. Well, I can hear some through your songs, and you've got the mix of hip hop in there. You've got the contemporary, a bit of classical. There's R&B. There's a lovely song I wanted to ask you about. Actually, it's called "Best Friend," and
Mm.
I wondered if you could tell me about that. Is that about a best friend of yours? It's probably a stupid question, but I just thought I'd probe you on that one.
No, man, it's about a girlfriend,
Ah,
a
okay.
girl that I was dating.
Yeah.
I'm not one to have friends. It sounds bad, but I never really just have friends. Like I have people I can associate with. I talk to every once in a while, but I'm
Yeah.
a relationship guy. I'm always in
Yeah.
long relationships, and
Mm,
I always date my best friend at the time. So at that point, it was
lovely.
like I was dating a girl. We hated each other, which is always my thing. I'm always in relationships where we hate each other. But like they're
Interesting.
always my best friend, and that's what I was thinking about. So it's like I want to
Yeah.
leave, but she'll fight me.
Mm,
She'll want to leave, but I'll fight her. We're in this toxic relationship, but that's my best friend. End of the day.
mm. So you really do, obviously it seems like you write stuff that's happening to you very in the moment, very presently. So
Uh-huh.
you're really like in the now, aren't
Yeah.
you?
The best compliment I've
Yeah.
ever been given was I'm a male Taylor Swift. It was offensive at first, but it's like I really do it. Instead of getting mad and like fussing with somebody, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna write about that,
Yeah,
and you're
that's
gonna be a
it.
song.
Good. I think it's a healthy approach. What can I say? There's another song here. I mean, I don't quite know which ones came first, but that's okay. Broken People.
Broken People and Best Friend, they were on the same album originally.
What's Broken
Um,
People? What about? Tell me about Broken People? Because it's quite a
Broken
strong
People,
title.
I wrote
Mm,
it at the same time I was dating the girl who inspired Sarah Lynn, Kelsey,
yeah.
and I was just starting to go through depression and stuff like that. It really hit me when I was about
Yeah.
17. That's when it hit me the hardest. So a few years after that, I'm still like I wasn't really allowed to address it to myself, if that makes
Mm,
sense. Like my family wouldn't accept it. The girl I was dating, it wasn't okay for her. So when I
yeah.
met Kelsey, she had been, on antidepressants and
Yeah.
rehab and already fought addiction since she was in middle school. It's always
Yeah.
been really rough for her. She came from trauma. So
Right.
she was somebody I was able to kind of see myself in, kind of confide in.
Mm,
And we were broken people. Like that's how we were kind of
right.
looked at because we were both kind of
Yeah.
depressed. We were using stuff,
Mm,
trying to kind of be okay. So
yeah.
I found it attractive that I was able to talk to her and be like,
Mm,
I'm not feeling okay, and
yeah.
she would not feel okay, and we could, be there for each other.
Mm. It's okay to not feel okay.
Yeah, and that's really when I learned that lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how long? Let's talk about are you okay talking about the depression for a
Oh,
little
yes,
bit?
ma'am.
Are you okay? Just as long as you're
Yes, ma'am.
comfortable. If there's anything you're not comfortable with, we don't have to.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
Only because I am a therapist as well as a musician. So I'm interested in the mental health of musicians,
Yes, ma'am.
of course. How long did your depression go on for? And maybe it's still, or is it just part of life as it can be, and it's something that is managed on a daily basis? How
Yeah,
does it
it's
work
definitely
for you?
my day to day.
Yeah.
It hits me different times of the day. It hits me sometimes a full day.
Yeah.
I've just gotten better at managing it because
Right.
I don't like antidepressants. I don't like what it make me feel. So
Yeah.
it's just something I had to kind of learn to deal with. Same with that, I
Mm,
get really bad anxiety and a plethora
yeah.
of other things. It's always something there. But with depression mainly, I'll get hit and I learned how to pivot basically. That's what I've always called it, pivoting. So when I'm hit and I'm feeling really low, I throw all of my energy into something, which is usually my career. So if it's not writing, it's networking and getting out there, finding opportunities to maybe like, book another tour or whatever. I just dive head first into it. That way I don't have to just sit there and sulk and just be sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting, isn't it? Because I know a few other people like that. It seems to be the thing to do. The coping mechanism seems to be to divert the attention into something that is actually constructive.
Because everything is energy. You just got to put it in the right place.
Okay. Yes. When you talk about energy, can you say a little bit more about that? Because I'm kind of interested in that. Just what you just said. When you say energy, how do you see it? How do you see that?
Because it seems like lack of energy, because when you're depressed, you're just kind of, at least for me, I'm just sitting there and I'm focused on a topic. And I usually know the topics. I usually can feel myself slipping into that rabbit hole. And I kind of, instead of saying, I'm not going to think about that, I'll kind of slip into it. And then when I notice, like, I don't want to do anything, I feel like hurting myself or anything like that. Instead of just sitting there and like, fantasizing about those thoughts and just letting myself slip into it, it's like you have to really throw yourself into something else. That it doesn't always have to be constructive. It can be like an iMessage game. You can text somebody, like, play pool. You can convert the energy into, I'm going to clean up. You just have to. It's a big push, and I know it sounds like it's a lot to do. I'm not trying to make it sound easy at all.
No.
But once you started into it, then it just kind of snowballs. You get really lost into it. So if it's playing a video game, watching a movie, and I notice with movies, if I change that energy into the movie, I have to critique the movie from head to toe. So if the lighting is off, if the blocking is off, I'm locked in. I'm paying attention to everything. Just kind of a way of distracting yourself, because like in the Bible says, an idle mind is devil's playground. So if you're allowing yourself to think that, you're gonna really hurt yourself.
Yeah, amazing. So it's you are right. It is an energy, but you seem to have really grasped how to transform that, how to change that. It's like a re-diversion of it, and to make it into something positive, or to draw it towards positivity. Does it help having your mum around? Because you said did you say she's a preacher?
Mm-hmm.
Does it help? Does that help with the Bible and with God, with religion and with spirituality? Does it help at all?
I wanted to. It just never does. And
when
you're talking to a lot of like Christians, it sounds bad. I appreciate the word. I listen and I read and I get all of that. I'm religious myself.
Yeah.
But it's not always what you want to hear. So my mom has gotten a lot better at it, but for the most part, she's never really. And it sounds bad. I'm not like, I'm not stepping on her right now, but it's just like she wasn't always a person that I can confide in. And she still isn't, because a lot of times when people don't have a kind of mental illness, they don't understand mental illness. So she doesn't understand it. So that's not her fault. I just can't, run to her when I'm in need like that.
Do you actually have a diagnosis? I mean, is it something that is actually been diagnosed as a depression, or is it just something that you have? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Right. It's very brave that you've not turned to pills and that, because I mean, it's not for everybody, and actually it's not for a lot of people, is what I'm hearing, to be honest with you.
It really just makes you sleepy. Like, it's just like it makes you too sleepy, too tired to actually be depressed, which kind of makes you more depressed all at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with a list of stuff. I'm bipolar and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So when are you at your happiest then? Oh, don't you know?
I don't know.
Just
I get happy when success or something happens.
Yeah.
But my problem with happiness, which leads to a depressive mindset, is I don't think happiness is a actual house. Like, I don't think it's somewhere you can just stay in. I think it's like momentary, like a moment thing. So like, I've been happy. Like, I've gotten something, like I got to work with John Oates. I think that was a huge opportunity. I was very happy when I got those opportunities.
Yeah.
But then I have other responsibilities. I have other things to do. So it's kind of like, it doesn't last. So like, when anything new happens,
Mm,
I'm happy. It just like,
mm.
not to sound depressed now, but it just kind of fades.
Not at all, not at all. I think it's admirable and what you're doing, and you've got all these different roles in your life. I mean, are you actively doing everything? I mean, I know you mentioned you're going to get back on the road with the stand-up comic, aren't you? I bet you can't wait for that. I bet you're really looking forward to that because you love it, don't you?
I love
No?
it so much, but I don't know. I'm so bad at doubting myself. Like, I don't think that my
Oh,
jokes are gonna be like, I think they're funny. I just don't think others are gonna find them funny. So I'm like in
oh,
the middle because I've been going for the last time I did stand up, I opened for a really big comic. And
yeah.
right before I went on stage, like 7 minutes exactly before I went on stage,
Hmm.
the PA, she came and got me and she said, "Hey, no jokes about this, or this." And that was my entire set. So I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
no.
So I was
Oh,
supposed to go out there for 30 minutes. I got 7 minutes in and it just went downhill. I was cool for 7 minutes and then it got so bad. So when the big comic came on after me, he kind of roasted me a little bit, which was fine. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna get my writing together. So I've been writing pretty much for 3 years, and I don't know if it's funny. I hope it is.
don't you see? Okay, so you do this in front of a live audience, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so what's their response then? What's your? I mean, you must get some really great response for you
Yeah,
to keep going.
I usually do pretty okay.
Yeah,
Like, I on a scale of 1 to 10, I usually do at least a 7.
that's very
But
good.
I also was a kid, so I feel like a lot of it was just people like, "Oh, he's a kid. That's adorable. He's trying to be a comedian."
Right.
You kind of like make yourself in a mood to like, I'm gonna laugh at whatever comes out because you're in a bubbly mood. So I've always had that. So
Yeah.
when I actually did bad, it hit hard because I wasn't used
Right.
to it. So I had
Yeah.
been by that point I was doing stand up for like four
Mm,
years and I
right.
haven't had a bad show. So when it hit me, it hit
Yeah.
hard. So now I'm like, I'm
Oh.
scared. I'm an adult. They're gonna take it seriously now.
But that's what's going to make you great, because you've got to get it wrong to get it right. That's
Yep.
my belief. You have to make mistakes. That's how you learn. You've got to, and you are throwing yourself into the deep end. I mean, it is a brave thing to do. I love comedy, absolutely love it. And I see these people get up there and I think, how do you do that? Some of it's half written, half worked out, but then you've got the
Mhm.
improv in between and you've got to kind of factor in that element of that space, haven't you? Of
Mhm.
I might go off on a tangent here, or if someone says something, knowing how to cope with that. I mean, you must do that. I'm taking that you do that. Is that how it works for you? A little bit of kind of improv as
Yeah.
well?
I'm analyzing everything from. I don't
Yeah.
really know my set until I get on stage. I just have like a list of like I write the name of jokes instead of the actual joke. So I know what the
Mm.
joke is just as a name. So
Yeah.
I'll have like a bunch of stuff, a bunch of titles wrote. Then when I get
Right.
on stage and I can see what the audience look like, I can be like, I
Right.
think these jokes will work for these people. And I might
Yeah.
not know the exact order to tell them. My improv comes from knowing how to get from this joke to that joke
Brilliant.
because I might have a list and know like, okay, I can do it in this order, but I might forget one and have to
Yeah.
place it at the bottom and just kind of keep up that way. So I'm doing a
Yeah.
lot of analyzing.
Yeah, well done you. Wow, it's I admire you really. What I find amazing is that there's always this self-doubt. I mean, I know myself as well actually. Always this self-doubt and with so many artists and this slight this imposter person syndrome, and but yet we still persevere and you still go for it, So you must be seeking to achieve a certain level for your profession, I take it. It feels like
I want
are you
to
striving? What are you striving for?
I want to get to a place where I can comfortably be myself. If that
Mm,
makes like, because I do a lot of charity work and I love doing charity work. I want to continue doing charity work and I want to
wonderful.
make money to really dive into charity work. So with that and my career, me wanting to be successful as an artist, I have to get out and reach people. So I have to get on TikTok and be like, "Hey, come listen to my song." This, that, and this. I have to be that guy, but I don't want to
Mm,
be. So I want to be like a Frank Ocean, that kind of artist where he's not in the public eye. He's not, taking pictures and photos because my Instagram, I barely pose on it. I don't like posting. I don't like
Yeah.
being active, but I have to be.
Yeah.
So I want to get to a point where I can put out a song, won't really have to do a video, won't have to advertise it, and it'll do okay. I'm not like trying to, be this have a big mansion kind of guy. I just
Mm.
want to be able to put a song out, who likes it,
Yeah.
likes it, and I don't have to
Yeah.
promote it.
Yeah. And you're that's very humble, isn't it? Yeah. So it's yeah, wonderful. I'm sure you're going to be building on that. What are you working on now? You're working on something now, aren't you? A single, is that right?
Yeah, I don't know how many. I have a bunch of demos that come out tonight.
Oh,
But as far as that, I'm in my last stages of working with a label, and I have
okay.
different offers I'm kind of weaning through because I don't understand contract talk. So I'm working through a
Mhm.
couple contracts, making sure like it'll be a good fit. My main thing is I want creative control because
Yeah.
I make a lot of different kinds of music. My last problem with the label was they were saying, "Hey, you're a rapper, let's stick to that." And I
Right.
just kind of want a little bit more freedom.
Hmm.
So I'm working through that, and then once that's finalized, then I have a ton of singles that I'm planning on putting out once that happens. So within the next month or so. So I've been working.
Mm.
I'm working on a lot of stuff where like I want to go like the more instrumental, like orchestra vibe. Even if I'm rapping, singing, no matter what, I kind of want to. I feel when it's real instruments, you feel it more.
Mm. Oh,
That's why I feel like
yes.
I love Sarah Lynn so much
Oh,
because the cello,
magical.
the violin, it's
Yeah.
just so much emotion in it, and
Yeah.
I love that kind of music.
Yeah. For me, was that actually, is that the newest song that you did, or
Yes,
is
ma'am.
it? So okay, so I thought so, because I looked at the others and I felt that that was the most up to date, and
Yes.
it's fabulous. I mean, I can't rate it enough. I cannot rate it enough. I mean, the vocals, everything about it is just very magical. It's absolutely beautiful. And I think you're definitely, as we say over here, barking up the right tree. Well, the wrong tree sometimes, but you're barking up the right tree, So definitely, I think it's a great direction. It's quite unusual, isn't it, to be rapping or over something that's classical more. That's kind
Mhm.
of a little unusual, which is great. So you're not afraid to try these different genres, are you?
Oh no, like the new label, when I sent them the stuff that I was working on, they had an
Yeah.
idea because the song that they reached out to me for was Still Growing Up. And I come in, I'm singing a little bit, then I go into rapping, but it's kind of still like a neo soul vibe. And when they heard the new stuff, it was just kind of like,
Wow.
oh, okay. And I seen on their face that it was just really, really weird. So like I don't mind
Love it.
experimenting. I have fun with it.
Yeah.
I have to keep myself entertained with it. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm trying.
It's great though, isn't it? It's good to shock people.
Yeah, because
Why not?
nobody expected Sarah Lynn because I think the song before Sarah Lynn
Yeah.
was Kickback, and then there's a song
Yeah.
Chubby,
Yes.
and
I
all
saw
three of
that.
those songs are very different. They are
Yes.
very different.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, it
Yep.
was really out of the blue.
The one thing that is similar is the pace. You have a very mellow, there's a sort of a mid-tempo kind of
Mm.
pace through all of it. You've got quite would you say that matches your character? Laid back. Are you quite laid
Yes,
back?
man. I'm
Yeah.
I'm 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 very laid back to myself. I try to make music for certain scenery, like certain
Mm,
scenes. So like Kickback, Sarah Lynn, I imagine like, it's a night drive. You're kind of
mm,
it's a
mm.
end of the day, kind of relax your mind, kind of reflect on stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's the mindset I was in throughout that writing process. So
Mm, yeah.
hopefully I can kind of pick up the vibe
Yeah.
a little bit more.
That's wonderful what you're doing, but it's great. It's great. So what I was going to ask you about is are you acting as well? Are you doing acting? You have acted?
I was in a web show. Well, I was on the show that was on YouTube, and they just got picked up to go to Hulu.
Yeah.
My problem is that I played like a side character, like a bad guy, and they had me do all these little stunt camps and like practice and stuff to learn how to fight and
Okay.
do all this little stuff. Then they cut me.
Oh.
So I'm really not an actor. Like some parts that I've been, signed up
Mm.
for that I'm supposed to start filming,
Mm.
but I'll probably get cut again. It's happened twice where they've had me do really extreme things, and I'm like, okay, I put in a lot of effort for that, and they're like,
Yeah.
we're cutting you, and they don't even tell you. You find out when it comes out, and I'm like, I didn't see me.
It's a cruel business, isn't it?
It is.
It's very cruel. Oh dear. And these are the things that you don't like what you said before, actually, about having that creative control. And I guess that's probably why you want to go in that direction, being an independent artist, and why wouldn't you? What about your own videos and your own videos to your own songs? Have you got anything planned for maybe even the new stuff or?
Yes and no. I have a lot of videos. I make a
Mhm.
lot of videos all the
Mm.
time. I'm just so self-conscious and don't put them out because I did a video for Broken People
Right.
like a year and a half ago,
Right.
and I had gained a lot of weight, and I saw my man boobs bouncing. I saw it like for like 1 second. I saw it went up and it dropped hard, and I was like, no, no,
Oh.
no, that's not being seen. No.
Right. Oh dear. Well, okay. You're going to have to think about releasing something then when you're comfortable. I mean, I do understand. I know. I mean, weight gain is just, don't plug me in on that. I do know. But it's a shame to not get anything out. And yeah, it's a hard process, isn't it? To see
Uh,
yourself back. It's really difficult, isn't it? And
And I'm surrounded by so many people who
yeah,
are like, I love myself. I can't wait to do this photo shoot. I'm gonna do a video. I'm gonna do
no.
this. And they have like I know somebody with their face as their lock screen. They're
Um,
so happy to be them. And I'm like, I wish.
I do hear you. I know. People are just, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. And I guess really, it's a real reflection of how the business is these days, the pressure that there is to be this perfect thin being, but real life is not like that. Real life isn't like that. And I think it's just good to be yourself and be an artist. And it doesn't matter what you look like. It's where your heart is at. It's what your heart looks like, actually. It's where your soul is and what your soul looks like. So maybe have a rethink about that, because it would
Yeah,
be lovely to
I
see more
plan
of
on
you.
it eventually. I have a lot of ideas for stuff. So I'm kind of
Mm,
training myself how to, use a green screen and do effects and stuff like that.
yep.
So
Yep.
once I figure that out, I have an idea for a video. I plan on doing it. I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it.
Yeah, good, because I definitely want to see that. Have you got a title that you can tell me or tell us for all the listeners for your new single, something to look out for? Or is it
Um,
top secret at the moment?
the main song that I'm excited for that is coming out is called "Once Upon a Time." I think
Okay.
that is one of my favorite songs. I'll put it right behind Sarah Lynn in my favorite songs that I've made. Um, I made it so many years ago, but I did I
Mm.
remade it so I can re-put it out, and it sounds like a completely different song. But it was in my emotional kid days. You can kind of hear my voice kind of struggle, where it's
Uh,
like it sounds like I think this guy's about to cry right here, and
mm,
I love the emotion in the song. I love what the song's about.
lovely.
Yeah, and it comes out tonight. It comes out tonight.
Wow. Okay. So where can we hear that then? Where will that be?
Um,
Will that on iTunes or?
Anywhere you get your music under Cervon Campbell.
Okay, great. What about, do you have your own website or a web page that we can tell the listeners where to go and visit?
I have a link tree in my bio, but I don't have like an actual website.
Okay, not yet. Maybe you will. Maybe something to look to.
Yeah, I got a
Okay.
plan.
Well, that's great. So that's wonderful. So I definitely will be looking forward to listening to that. It's absolutely been lovely speaking with you, and I wish you the very, very best of luck for your future and everything that you do. And hopefully come back again maybe in a year's time and let's see where you're at.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.